If you really love someone, you'd do anything for them. Even take out a $65,000 loan. That's what I told myself when I signed the papers. That's what I believed right up until the moment he left me at the altar and posted pictures of himself cuddled up with another girl in Cape Town. My name is Almara, and I live in Houston, Texas. I moved here 7 years ago chasing a better life. And honestly, things were finally starting to fall into place. I had a decent job, good credit, and a man I thought I could trust with my life. His name was Tund, charming, patient, God-fearing, or so I thought. We'd been together for 5 years. The relationship wasn't perfect. In fact, 3 years ago, I made a terrible mistake. I cheated. One night of weakness that led to a pregnancy. I didn't lie about it. I owned up. I cried. I begged. And Tund, after weeks of prayer and counseling, told me he forgave me. He even promised to raise the child as his own. That's when I knew I was ready to give him everything, every ounce of trust I had left. So, when he said we should go all out for our wedding, lavish, beautiful, unforgettable, I agreed. But I didn't have the money. He said, "Baby, you've got the credit. Take the loan. I'll handle the monthly payments." It sounded crazy, but love makes you do crazy things. So, I took out the loan, $65,000. I wired most of it to Nigeria for the wedding planning venue, catering, decoration. I even booked our honeymoon to Dubai. I sent him screenshots, receipts, itineraries. He thanked me every day. "You're my queen," he said. I'll never forget this. The wedding was set for March 14th. I flew into Lagos a week early. Tund said he'd come in from Abuja just 2 days before. March 13th came. No call. March 14th. I stood at the venue dressed in white. My family looked confused. Guests whispered. My heart wouldn't stop pounding. Then my cousin rushed up, phone in hand. "Check Instagram." I did. There he was, Tund, grinning from ear to ear in Cape Town, arms wrapped around a girl who couldn't be more than 23. Champagne in one hand. Caption: "Soft life, new beginnings." And just like that, I couldn't breathe. I stood there frozen, my veil clutched in one hand, my phone shaking in the other. The venue was packed with guests, family, friends, even co-workers who had flown in from the US. All eyes were on me, and not for the reasons I'd imagined. No one knew what was going on, but I did. Tund wasn't late. He wasn't caught in traffic. He wasn't on his way. He was on a beach in Cape Town with another woman. The post had gone live less than an hour ago. The caption read, "Soft life only. No stress, no drama." And there I was, in full glam, standing beneath flower arches we paid millions for, surrounded by decorations I had handpicked, wearing a dress that cost me my first 3 paychecks of the year. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I turned to my maid of honor and whispered, "Cancel everything." My voice was cold, numb, empty. The next hour was a blur. People started murmuring. My mother collapsed. My uncle tried to call Tund over and over again, straight to voicemail. Guests began leaving, some in confusion, others shaking their heads like they'd seen it coming, like I was the fool. When I got back to the hotel, I locked myself in the room. That's when the texts started coming in. Not from him, from strangers. "Sorry, sis. I saw his story. He's been posting her all week. She's a student in Cape Town. He's been dating her for months. Didn't you cheat on him before? Maybe this is karma." Karma? Is that what this was? I stared at myself in the mirror, makeup smudged, tiara still sitting on my head, like some cruel joke, and asked myself one question. How did I get here? Then I remembered something Tund had said during one of our long night talks. Months ago, if I ever decided to leave you, I wouldn't say a word. I'd just disappear. At the time, I laughed. Now, it echoed in my soul. He didn't just leave. He wanted to hurt me. And worst of all, I gave him everything he needed to do it. 3 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Tund and I were going through a rough patch. He had just lost his job, and I was working long shifts, barely home. We were arguing constantly about bills, about my tone, about how I wasn't the same woman he fell in love with. One night, after a particularly brutal fight, I left the apartment. I told him I needed air, but really, I just needed to feel something other than anger. I ended up at a friend's birthday party. Drinks were flowing, Music was loud, and somewhere between 1 o'clock a.m. and a very bad decision, I crossed a line I never thought I would. His name was Jide. He was kind, charming, and attentive. Everything turned hadn't been for months. It was supposed to be a one-night mistake, but 2 months later, I found out I was pregnant. I cried for 3 straight nights. I considered not telling Tund, but that would have made me a coward. So I sat him down and confessed everything: the night, the man, the pregnancy. He didn't speak for what felt like an hour, just stared at me like I was a stranger. The days that followed were the darkest in our relationship. He moved out, blocked me, told his family, told mine. I was the villain in everyone's story. But then, he came back. He said he had prayed about it, that if God could forgive me, so could he. He held my belly one night and whispered, "This child may not be mine by blood, but I'll love him like he is." I thought we were healing. We even started couples counseling. We prayed together, fasted together. Tun became a second father to my son, Iamide. He'd rock him to sleep, attend school functions, even list him as his dependent when we applied for housing. That's why I trusted him. That's why when he asked me to take the loan, I didn't hesitate. Because who abandons a woman who confessed her sins and rebuilt a life with you? Apparently, a man who never truly forgave you. Apparently, a man who was just waiting for the perfect moment to destroy you. It took me 2 days to gather the strength to call him. He didn't answer the first few times, or the 5th, but on the 6th try, just as I was about to give up, the call connected. "Tunt?" I said, my voice trembling. "Why?" There was a pause, then a low chuckle. "You sound surprised," he said, "like you didn't see this coming." I froze. "You left me at the altar," I whispered. "You told me you forgave me. You raised my son. You held my hand in prayer. And now this? Posting some random girl like I never existed." "She's not random," he said coolly. "She's real, unlike the life I've been pretending to have with you." His words hit me like a slap. "Pretending?" I choked out. "So the forgiveness was fake? The counseling? The nights you held me when I cried? It was survival," he said. "I was broken. You cheated. You lied. You gave another man what was supposed to be mine. Do you know what that did to me, Amara? You said you moved on." "No," he said, his voice growing colder. I waited for you to get comfortable, for you to think everything was okay. And then I decided you deserved to feel what I felt." Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. "I took a $65,000 loan for you," I said through gritted teeth. "You let me plan our future knowing you'd never show up. You wanted the dream wedding, didn't you?" He mocked. "Now you have the dream debt to go with it." My jaw tightened. "You're evil," I said. "I made a mistake, yes. But what you did, this was calculated. This was cruel." "No," he said. "This was justice. And now, we're even." Then he hung up, just like that. I stared at my phone, heart pounding, the silence screaming louder than his voice ever could. Was this karma? Or had I just loved a man so broken that he chose revenge over healing? I didn't know. But what I did know was this. Tund had declared war, and he thought he'd won. But he had no idea. The next move wouldn't be his. A week passed. The scandal had settled, but the silence felt heavier than the chaos. My phone barely rang anymore. Friends I thought would check on me disappeared. Family whispered behind my back. Debt collectors had already sent 2 emails. But then something unexpected happened. A message request popped up on my Instagram. From her, the girl in the Cape Town photos. Her name was Zara. At first, I thought it was a sick joke. Maybe she wanted to mock me, rub it in. But her message simply read, "I didn't know. I need to talk to you. Please." I hesitated. Then curiosity won. We met at a quiet coffee shop in Lekki. She was even younger in person, barely 23, just as I suspected, pretty, nervous. But what caught me off guard was the guilt in her eyes. "I'm so sorry," she said before I even sat down. "I didn't know about you. I didn't know about the wedding. He told me you were his crazy ex who was obsessed with him." I blinked. "What?" Zara pulled out her phone and started scrolling through chats. Voice notes, pictures, even screenshots of hotel bookings and flight confirmations dated before our wedding day. "He said he was tired of drama," she continued. "He said you cheated and ruined his life." I believed him, until one of my friends recognized you from the wedding photos circulating online. She showed me everything. My heart raced. He had been grooming her, playing the victim, using my pain to win over someone else. He told me to delete the posts after people started talking, Zara added, but I didn't. I've already shared everything with my cousin, he's a lawyer. If you want to press charges or go public, I'll back you. I sat back in shock. I wasn't expecting an ally. I was expecting a slap in the face. But instead, I found a weapon. Later that night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was stunned. Why are you talking to her? He demanded. You're trying to destroy me now? I smiled. No, I said calmly. You already did that. Now I'm just returning the favor. Then I hung up. Let's see how he likes watching his life fall apart, piece by piece. If you were the one in my shoes, would you expose him and fight back? Or would you quietly walk away and let karma do the rest? If your partner betrayed you like this, after you confessed and rebuilt everything, would you ever trust anyone again? And be honest, was I wrong for trusting him after what I did? If you were the one, what would you do next? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your heart.